they wanted to take the house. But he turned on a video that his grandfather had left especially for them, and everything broke down, because in the attic he found something that changed everything. And now it's not a house anymore. It is a war, and it has just begun. I knew something was off the second my mom called it a family talk. That phrase in our house was never casual. It wasn't a talk. It was an ambush with snacks. And I walked straight into it, like an idiot, holding a tray of muffins I'd stupidly baked. Let me back up. My name's Jason. I'm 27, and in my family, I'm the black sheep, not because I've done anything wild or criminal. No, my crime is worse. I'm quiet. I don't over-explain. I don't play into guilt. I don't pretend things are okay just to keep the peace. Which is exactly why they thought they could take Grandpa's house from me. Yeah. Grandpa passed away a year ago. He was the only one who never treated me like a background character in my own life. The man fixed broken radios like magic and told stories that made time stop. So when he died, something broke in me. I didn't cry at the funeral. I shut down. 3 months later, I got a call from his lawyer. Grandpa had left me the house. Not to my sister Katie, who treats her Instagram's decluttering hustle like it's a divine mission. Not to my brother Josh, who day trades crypto with dad's retirement money. Not to my parents. Me. He didn't just leave me the house. He left a command: don't sell it. Don't divide it. Keep it whole. Keep it safe. So I moved in. Quietly. No announcement. No Facebook post. Just me and Grandpa's old recliner and a chest full of his old cassette tapes. I didn't tell anyone because I already knew what was coming. Katie found out first. She called with that syrupy voice she uses when she wants to borrow money or manipulate someone into giving her free marketing advice. Hey Jace. Mom said you're living in Grandpa's house? Like full-time? Yeah, I said. He left it to me. Silence. Then, she hung up. Next day? Mom calls. Family talk. I walked into the house like I was stepping into a courtroom. Katie, Josh, Mom, Dad, all sitting around the living room. Chairs angled, faces prepared. I didn't even sit before Katie started. We just think it's better if we all benefit. Benefit from what? I asked. Mom chimed in. From the house. It's just sitting there. You don't need all that space, Jason. Josh added, you could sell it, split the money. Help Mom and Dad, help me with these credit cards. They said it so casually, like I was holding their lottery ticket hostage. I didn't say a word. I just pulled out the copy of Grandpa's will I'd brought. Spread it out on the coffee table like a magician about to reveal the final card. Read this, I said. Grandpa didn't just leave me the house. He left it to me with conditions. Not to be sold. Not to be divided. He wanted it preserved. Katie snatched the paper like it was written in a language she could decode better. Josh mumbled something about how I must have manipulated Grandpa when he was dying. Mom cried. Dad accused me of being divisive. It exploded. Voices overlapping. Guilt flying like knives. I didn't shout. I didn't budge. I let them expose themselves. That was the moment everything started to change. I left that night. Didn't go back for weeks. Figured it would cool down. It didn't. First, it was subtle. Missing mail. A strange knock late at night. A neighbor told me Mom had come by to check on things, acting like the house was still in transition. Like I hadn't inherited it outright. Then came the cameras. Motion detected. Midnight. Josh. Hoodie up. Flashlight. Fiddling with the gate like a guy in a bad heist movie. I watched it live from my phone, heart hammering. I didn't confront him. I sent the footage in a group chat. No caption. No one replied. Next day, Dad came to the door. No hello. Just, Jason, this is getting out of hand. I raised an eyebrow. You mean your son trying to break into my house? He was just trying to talk to you, he said. At midnight? With a flashlight? Your grandfather wasn't in his right mind when he wrote that will. There it was. They'd switched tactics. If guilt didn't work, they'd attack the foundation. Claim Grandpa was senile. That the will wasn't valid. That I was taking advantage of a dying man. They underestimated me. They always did. I looked him dead in the eye. Don't insult him just because he didn't pick you. I shut the door. But I didn't sleep that night. Because deep down, I knew. This wasn't over. And I was right. 2 days later, I got the letter. Plain envelope. No return address. Inside, a typed notice. We, as a family, intend to dispute the validity of the will. We believe Jason manipulated our father while he was not of sound mind. Legal action will proceed unless a fair resolution is reached. They were going to sue me. Not just sue me, they were going to smear Grandpa. Discredit him. Dismantle his legacy. Rip him down just to get their cut. I sat in his living room, staring at the fireplace where he used to warm his hands and tell me stories. And I made a decision. If they wanted war, they were going to get one. I didn't tell them I was meeting Grandpa's lawyer. I didn't tell anyone. The letter had arrived like a grenade, neat, quiet, and devastating. If they thought I was going to crumble under a threat of legal action, they had no idea who Grandpa raised. So I drove to the old office on Main Street. Same weathered sign. Same coffee smell. Mr. Henley was waiting, wearing his signature expression, one part tired, one part not in the mood for BS. I slid the letter across the desk. He read it. Sighed. They're bluffing. I stared at him. How sure are you? He leaned back, steepling his fingers. Very. And because your grandfather knew who he was dealing with, he gave me 20 hours of video testimony. I blinked. He what? Henley smiled, slow and razor-edged. He left a message for every one of them. Called it his insurance file. Talks about you, about why he left the house to you. Anticipated they'd contest it. 20 hours? Organized, time-stamped, notarized, and stored on secure drives. I felt something shift in my chest. Relief. Rage. Pride. Grandpa had played 5 moves ahead. Still, I knew my family wouldn't walk away. People like Katie and Josh don't just vanish when you show them facts. They just morph, get sneakier, louder, meaner. And they did. It started with the social media assault. Katie posted a long, vague status. It's heartbreaking when people manipulate the elderly and tear families apart just to gain property. Some things aren't worth it. No name. No tags. Just enough breadcrumbs. Comments exploded. Sending love, girl. People show their true colors when there's money. I didn't respond. But I took screenshots. Every comment. Every passive-aggressive emoji. Every fake tear. Then Josh joined in. Posted a pic of Grandpa's house with the caption, "Sad to see this place rot while others pretend to care." Funny, considering the only thing Josh ever lifted around that house was a beer. Again, no reply. Just another folder of receipts. Then came the pop-ins. A cousin I hadn't seen since high school messaged me, "Hey man, just checking in. Want to grab coffee?" A neighbor dropped off cookies just because. Someone I barely knew knocked on my door to see if everything's okay. They were phishing. Sent by Katie or Josh to see if I was cracking. I smiled, nodded, played dumb. But I was documenting everything. Because what came next wasn't just petty, it was criminal. It was a Thursday night. I was brushing my teeth when I heard something hit the side of the house. Thwack. Then again. Thwack. Thwack. Eggs. I ran to the cameras. Pulled up the feed. And there he was. Hoodie. Backpack. Familiar gait. Josh. Lobbing eggs at Grandpa's house at midnight like a deranged teenager. The next morning, I left the eggs. Let the sun cook them into the siding. Let the neighbors see. And then I sent one message to the group chat. Just the video link. Still no reply. They weren't even trying to deny it now. Just escalating like cornered animals. So I changed tactics. I sent my invitation. Family talk, but at my house. Same living room. Same rug. Grandpa's photo above the fireplace. They arrived with smug faces, probably expecting a guilt trip or a negotiation. What they got was Grandpa. I had the laptop queued up. Hit play. His voice filled the room, clear, sharp, and deliberate. "If you're watching this," he said, "it means some of you are trying to undo what I've done." Katie shifted in her seat. Josh went pale. "I left the house to Jason," Grandpa continued. "Because I trust him. I trust his judgment. I trust his values. And because I knew some of you wouldn't understand. That's fine. You don't have to. But don't pretend this is about fairness. It's about greed." He named names. He explained the will. He called out patterns, Katie's manipulation, Josh's entitlement, my parents' silence. When the video ended, no one spoke. I looked up. "You still want to take me to court?" I asked quietly. Katie's jaw was tight. But her eyes? There was something behind them now. Something that almost looked like guilt. Josh muttered, "This is insane." Dad didn't say a word. Mom looked at the photo on the wall. "He really did love this house," she whispered. I nodded. "Yeah. And now, so do I." They left without another word. But I wasn't done. Because a few days later, I got a call from someone I hadn't heard from in years. Aunt Diane, Grandpa's younger sister. She had something. Something Grandpa gave her. Just in case. And what she sent me changed everything. Aunt Diane's voice on the phone was calm but clipped. The kind of tone people use when they're holding something explosive and aren't sure whether to hand it to you or bury it in the yard. Jason, she said, your grandfather asked me to send you something if things got ugly. Ugly was an understatement. We'd passed ugly 2 lawsuits ago. Within a week, a small, dented metal lockbox arrived at my door. No note. No instructions. Just my name on a yellowed sticky note, written in Grandpa's sharp, unmistakable handwriting. When they forget who you are, remind them who I was. Inside the box? 5 things. A notarized letter from Grandpa reaffirming his will, written 6 months before he died, double-signed and witnessed. In it, he explicitly stated again that he left the house to me because I was the only one he trusted not to flip it for a quick buck. A cassette tape, labeled in Grandpa's scrawl, play this if they try anything. Printed screenshots, texts and DMs, between Josh and some shady investor friends. Discussions about selling Grandpa's place once the old man croaks and how to convince Jason to cash out. A handwritten maintenance log. 2 years' worth of dates, chores, signatures. Proof that Grandpa had been slowly preparing me to take over the house, repairs, improvements, everything. His trust was practical, not just emotional. A sealed envelope, labeled, to be delivered to Jason's attorney if the family sues. This man. At 90. Playing chess while they were playing tic-tac-toe. I called Henley immediately. Met him the next morning. We went through the entire box together. By the end, he was grinning. They picked the wrong guy to bully, he said. So we went on offense. Henley drafted an ironclad cease and desist for harassment. And we attached everything. The cassette. The investor messages. The maintenance records. The notarized reaffirmation. A preview of the sealed envelope's contents, enough to let them imagine what was inside. The message was clear: if they took one more step, we'd turn the court into a family reunion from hell. But I wasn't done. The tape? I played it. Hooked up an old recorder, sat in Grandpa's recliner, and listened. His voice crackled through the speakers, calm, amused, and deadly precise. If they're listening to this, they probably think they're clever, he began. Katie's probably furious. Josh probably thinks I've lost it. Your parents are probably pretending this is all a misunderstanding. I laughed out loud. He nailed it. Jason, he said, you were always the one who sat back and watched while everyone else talked over each other. But I saw you. You listened. You remembered. You cared. That's why the house is yours. Then he addressed them. By name. To Katie, you don't get to cry about fairness when you treat people like tools. To Josh, you had every chance. You chose shortcuts. To my parents, silence is complicity. Then he ended with, if you think you can undo this, think again. I've buried more than just this tape. We sent digital copies of the tape and the screenshots to each of them. Legally. Formally. No message. No threats. Just the truth, delivered like a hammer. The fallout was instant. Katie took down her Facebook for mental health reasons. Josh went silent, his socials wiped. Mom sent a text with just one line, I didn't know. I'm sorry. And Dad? He didn't say a word. Because there was nothing left to say. I wasn't angry. I was clear. This wasn't about vengeance anymore. This was preservation. This was drawing a line so deep in the ground it could be seen from space. They wanted to rewrite Grandpa's legacy into something they could profit from. I made sure it stayed exactly what it was, a man's final gift to someone who earned it. The storm had passed. Or so I thought. After the legal shutdown, everything went quiet. Too quiet. Katie disappeared from social media. Josh vanished off the map. Last known post was him holding a fish somewhere in Idaho. My parents didn't reach out. No calls. No texts. Not even a guilt-ridden forwarded meme from Mom. And I was okay with that. I wasn't looking for reconciliation. I was looking for peace. But the silence? It was deceptive. Because the final blow didn't come with a bang. It came with a knock. 3 weeks later, I opened my front door and found my dad standing there. Alone. No script. No anger. No fake calm. Just a man who looked like he hadn't slept in days. Can I come in? He asked. I didn't answer. I just stepped aside. We sat in the kitchen. No coffee. No small talk. I didn't offer him anything. He didn't ask. He stared at the floor, then looked up at me like he was preparing to do something unnatural, like tell the truth. You know why he left you the house, right? He asked. I didn't answer. He nodded like he expected that. I used to think it was favoritism, he said. Thought maybe it was some punishment for us. For how distant we were. I didn't correct him. Because it was that. At least in part. But then I remembered something, he said, rubbing his hands like the truth was stuck under his skin. The day after your grandmother died, you were 10. The whole house was in chaos. Katie was crying. Josh was playing video games like nothing happened. He paused. You were the only one who did the dishes. That made me blink. You were 10, he repeated, staring at me. And you just washed all the plates. Dried them. Put them away. Like you knew that no one else was going to step up. I don't remember that, I muttered. He smiled. A sad, tired thing. Grandpa did. He sat in that recliner the whole night, watching you. Didn't say a word. But later, he told me, that one's got the spine the rest of you pretend to have. I felt something twist behind my ribs. Because I'd forgotten that day. But Grandpa hadn't. He wasn't punishing us, Dad said. He was rewarding you. I didn't say anything. I just let it hang there. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. From your mom, he said. No strings. No games. I took it. Didn't open it. He stood, then hesitated. For what it's worth, he said, I'm glad he gave it to you. I waited. I wouldn't have treated it right. And then he left. No drama. No hugs. Just the sound of a man stepping off a battlefield he finally realized he lost the second he walked onto it. I opened the envelope that night. Inside was a letter. Short. Barely more than a paragraph. I was wrong. I should have stood up for you sooner. I hope it's not too late. Mom. I read it 3 times, then folded it neatly and slid it into the lockbox with everything else. Because closure doesn't always come with confetti. Sometimes it's just 2 sentences and the absence of more lies. I kept the house. Not because of the drama. Not because I won. But because Grandpa asked me to. Because every floorboard, every window, every creaky pipe and sun-bleached photo meant something to him, and now it did to me. I turned his study into my office. Hung his old war medals over the desk. I even got the tomatoes in the backyard to stop dying. Mostly. And on some nights, when the air is just right, I still hear him in that recliner. Telling one of his stories. Laughing at his own punchlines. I didn't just inherit a house. I inherited a mission. To guard something worth more than money. Respect. I found it by accident. That's how all the most important things reveal themselves, not with a map, but with a stumble. It was a rainy Sunday. One of those slow, gray days where the house feels heavier than usual. I was organizing the garage, trying to decide whether Grandpa's rusted fishing gear was worth salvaging or just symbolic clutter. I reached for a duffel bag behind a shelf and knocked over an old toolbox. Metal against concrete. A crash. Something cracked. When I lifted the box, I saw it. Taped to the underside a small envelope. Yellowed. Brittle. With one word in bold black marker. Jason. My heart didn't race. It stopped. I took it inside. Sat on the couch, hands shaking like it was a bomb. Because this wasn't from the will. Wasn't part of Henley's arsenal. This was off-book. Hidden. Personal. Inside was a letter. Handwritten. No date. No formatting. Just Grandpa's voice, bleeding through the ink. If you're reading this, it means you stayed. Good. That's the first step. I didn't leave the house to you because you were quiet. I left it to you because you listen. And listening is rare. People talk. People shout. But you wait. You see. I know you've been wondering why I didn't trust the others. Here's the truth, it's not that I didn't love them. I did. Even when they disappointed me. But love doesn't mean blind trust. Love means protecting what matters, sometimes even from the people you love. I knew they'd come for the house. I knew they'd push you. Maybe even try to break you. That's why I gave you more than walls and wood. I gave you proof, protection, and one final challenge. Don't just defend this house, Jason. Live in it. Fill it with laughter. Burn something in the kitchen. Break a window and fix it wrong. Let it be yours. Because if all you ever do is protect it, then they still win. Then it's still theirs, just in your name. Let it become what it was never allowed to be, a home. And if you ever feel alone, go to the attic. Floorboard 3 from the back wall. It's hollow. There's something else there. I nearly dropped the letter. My legs moved before my brain did. Attic ladder down. Dust in the air. Old boxes, cobwebs, and that smell, wooden time. I found the board. Pulled it up. Inside? A flask. A photo. And a small velvet box. The photo was of me age 10, washing dishes at the old sink. Grandpa in the background, out of focus, watching. The box held a ring. His father's, I think. The flask? Empty. But the cap had a note tucked inside. Fill this with something worth drinking. And only use it when you have something worth toasting. I sat there in the attic for a long time. Just breathing. Just existing. And that was the moment I finally understood. I wasn't left this house to win a war. I was left this house to break a cycle. A cycle of silence, resentment, cold expectations. I was supposed to feel something here. To love it. To curse it. To mess it up and make it mine. Because homes aren't built with rules. They're built with stories. I fixed the board. Came back down. And that night, for the first time since this whole mess started, I invited someone over. Not to explain. Not to prove anything. Just to share. A dinner. A story. A stupid joke that would have made Grandpa groan. The house wasn't a weapon anymore. It was a life. And it was mine.